of the very profound love of God. 13th title and Contemplation. Now then, my love and my life, let us enter again into the inmost depths of your love, to see it as best we can, from speculation to contemplation, if it can be done. From less essential contemplation to the most perfect contemplation of all this love in its superessence. It is already much to say and to see, in the differentiation of love in its expeditions, that love has created us, and that love has recreated us, that if in our recreation in your double love, which is yet but one in itself, but more prodigious and more admirable in its effect, we have so much to see, for which to admire you, at which to be infinitely astonished, it is, I say, at the sight of these prodigious effects in their totality. And even at each production and manifestation of these, it is, I say, at this whole sight of all this production, in detail as well as in the big picture, that we remain totally enraptured outside of ourselves, by way of will, astonishment, and love, which hold us suspended in envisaging you infinitely enamored of men above all that. And so, since this love is very total and totally in itself, it is also marvelous that there is to be found so very many persons solicitous to love such a loving one and such a love, not to be very completely and totally in all the same love, to remain so much united to its infinite spirit and bottom as to be but one thing with this love and in it. Now, it is the truth that whoever has good and entire will to be loving, love from your side always backs him and will back him up as much and as long as he effectively keeps on doing his best as a result in acts of his good intention. With that, I leave as yet to be done all the explanation that seem to serve as cloister to the supreme very hidden core and to the totality of the simple and unique and super-extended love. And what astonishes me greatly about this, my love and my life, is to see that poor men, because of being more at home in matter than true spirit to a certain degree, should have need of so very many discussions and persuasions to be persuaded of this. But this is no wonder, things being what they are, namely that men, not being elevated to you to see and know you by the strong and penetrating prevention of your divine spirit, special gift of your divine goodness, which you give and infuse into whomever you please. These men, I say, being destitute of this very precious gift, cannot for the most part, however judicious they may be, pass beyond nature in its acquaintances and penetrations. And yet such knowledge and natural perfections are the effect of your free gifts. But this is not at present what holds our attention. Let us fly to your infinite, simple, and supernatural love, from the essence and inmost depth of which we see what follows as the effects of their cause, and not purely the cause of your love itself through its effects, given that, even in the totality of its effects and in the totality of its infinite profusion, he is totally God. It is still the case that God and his love remain always avid and infinitely desirous of giving himself more, communicating and manifesting himself more, remaining beyond all that, infinitely other, hidden, secret, impenetrable, and out of reach of any other than of one himself, that is to say, of God-man. Well, what is the use of reasoning basely about this, within the senses and purely by the senses, especially for one who can run lightly, and again for one who can fly lightly? Oh, infinite misery of the poverty of men, but more by their wickedness and lack of goodwill in your regard than by poverty and indigence of your divine grace, necessary to them in order to be able to know and love you. For if the souls of men are so near to the earth and the senses, do they not at least reason as they ought with the reason and the totally contrary sense of reason that is theirs? For if conformably to your first grace, which draws and solicits them, they exert themselves to set foot upon this course of love and of all that is good for them, it is without a doubt the very certain truth that you would back them up in this so important enterprise of theirs. But when they are not doing it, this also means that you let them languish within the miserable life of the senses and of created things, where and from which they never find enough to suffice, not by half, so that, Eternally it is nothing but effusion, poverty, and misery in their material, and beastly appetites waving about to and fro, inconstant, incessantly agitated like leaves or straw that the wind carries off from here to there in the violence of its impetuosity, without ever stopping in repose nor in peace a single moment in a single place, something that is so much more deplorable from the point of view of your friends that all those who tarry in so miserable a state know it less. Now, all the evils of these miserable ones do not proceed from anywhere else, but from the fact that they do not love you, that they do not know you and do not love you, because they do not stop seeking the true good, which you alone are, in you and for yourself, in all and for all creatures, angels as well as men, touched, drawn, enraptured by your very own love, to remain full and satisfied by all of it and all of it, in the manner that we have already told you, and completely otherwise. Behold the misery of men in the greater part of all men, and the cause and the effect, in the cause and the effect of the same good of all men, in very great number and gradation of diversity, and means of ways and paths, of states and constitutions, so that the flight to this supreme superessential core is different under great diversity, and also that the constitution of one is scarcely alike or similar to that of another. This is what I have already said to you in the preceding discourses, my love and my life. And for our regard, since we would not know how to dispose men to this, nor to ameliorate them, as the case may be, that they might attain to this very thing, it is up to us to make our flight always more and more active and light, so as to come to the intimate total penetration of one's all to the inmost depth of himself, which you yourself are, O my love and my life, in you and for you, remaining in the ardor of your infinite appetite, more desirous and avid to communicate yourself than you can actually communicate yourself, because there is no vase among mortals that can contain so much of your grace and of your love as you desire to put into it. For I believe that in that same truth, there are hardly any saints who might perhaps be so more and more excellently, yet there are certain exceptions. So in order not to be mistaken, we speak at least of the common saints among your friends, which reminds me, my love and my life, of having previously told you the reasons for this. But us, what do we think we are doing? Sounding the sea or wading across it? Nothing less, my love and my life, nothing less. For I esteem, and it is true, that we see all, hear and conceive nothing. We penetrate all and penetrate nothing. For even though we see with our eyes into your effects, even into either the totality of your effects or the totality of yourself, nonetheless you remain incomprehensible in yourself, inconceivable above all that can come forth from you. For if you are God so manifest and so manifestly in the effect of your infinite prodigies, which are all yourself, and if all your works, though diverse and different in themselves, are all equal in their infinite cause, you are still and remain wholly other. God manifest and God hidden in your creatures, such as they are, so as not to be able to be known, understood, comprehended all and totally by these, but entirely, all and totally of yourself and by yourself. But it would serve us very little, I mean at least for our consummated and accomplished good, and our good to be consummated and accomplished, to see you, to perceive you, to know you and to apprehend you such as you are in all yourself. If our love in this regard failed to respond to your love infinitely, and always with our all. Ah, how miserable are men who seek their good, their paradise, only in heaven. Ah, my dear life, one who seeks his paradise only in heaven has always been ignorant and will be ignorant of your paradise on earth. I mean in you as well as in himself, I mean in all creatures. The explanations of the reasons and causes of this would be infinite. Ah, how happy, indeed 1,000 times happy is the man who knows and who seeks with heart and voice your only paradise on earth, in oneself as well as in all creatures. The reasons and causes of this too are, in a totally opposite sense, infinite. But since the view of the profound and eminent truths is very far away from the explanations of the same truths taken and drawn from a distance, Those visions thus block our steps and close our appetite for such explanations, based on the fact that we see and apprehend them all with a simple and eminent vision, intuitively and in their own essence and cause, which you are, so as forever not to abase nor lessen the activity of our flight below your infinite superessential supereminence in you. The essences and the views of all distinction in itself of our very simple and excellent speculations ebb straight away and are cast away from us, from our supreme constitution in your infinite and superextended superessence. We say nothing here except all this so that, dead to all that, we do not expect it as we live here dead to our own life, as entirely and perfectly as if we had never been living of your life alone in all your life. Entirely lost forever in the totality of yourself in your superessence, always with the exception of that which cannot belong to us or be from us, or, to say it even better, that which is ours and purely from what is ours. Now, it is very certain that your infinite love is pleased with nothing so much as with producing very excellent effects in his creatures, but the most marvelous seem to be left to the pure and single operations of very noble and excellent creatures. These in their destitutions, abandonments, and deaths seem to be totally destitute and unknown by you, and to be abandoned by your actual help in all their languor, miseries, and deaths. And the importance in this fact is that the more one loves you, the more one has of this sort of love, that is to say, of your derelictions and abandonments, that which is very diverse in all and for all, conformably to the scope, measure, and proportion of your love, the love they have towards you. For your regard, my love and my life, you have drunken all the chalice of your love, and your creatures, even your dearest friends among them, have only drunken of it in part and quite diversely, although, for the gravity of their sorrows and afflictions, it seems to them that they are drinking it all, something as far away from the power of the creature and beyond his capacity, as it would be for a man to drink all the sea in the ardor of his thirst. Of this cup your sacred mother and your saints, as your most dear friends, drink very abundantly and unto the point of death, so to speak, without wearying or tiring of it, which is most marvelous. About this I would have something great to tell you, but it is necessary to suppress it, since you have given me the vision of it and the secret. Yet it is a question here of seeing you always laboring, working, and suffering in your sacred humanity. It is these loving effects which come forth from you like great flares to your friends, to astonish and burn them more and more, and to melt them more and more, and to lose them in the totality of your love in the sight and vision, so that, in thete and by itself, they are so narrowly united and conjoined to you, that they are well assured that nothing will ever be able to separate them from you. It is thus that they contemplate you enamored as the God of love, pouring and infusing love, even into all those who, far away from the disposition required to have much, have some little spark of it, but much better pouring perfecting love into your friends. And it is according to your grace and love flowing from your love itself, which astonishes so much your friends at the sight of these prodigious effects in these same friends of yours, that they remain without words or power to say anything about it, but as it were very astonished and very stunned meanwhile at this sight, as something not new to them, since these know very well that love gives always and does always the most for the most. This is what I think I have told you before, my love. In this way, finding ourselves all fixed within all the superessence of its own flow, we are constrained to remain therein melted, and lost to all its same flow, in a manner of speaking. To contemplate it eternally and incessantly in the totality of itself above all its own flow and its own effect, even in such a way that if it were without flow and without effect, all things remaining always what they must be, one for the one, equal for the equals, diverse in several, one, diverse and multiple, in all and for all, it is that, I say, which as much at the overflow as at the ebbing of the same overflow, fixes us firmly in our constitution, and makes us blessed in the manner that we must and can be, according to what I always hear said. For if those who are in love with you are sick, it is of love and in love. If weak, deprived, and impoverished, it is owing to the same love, and it is that they find abundantly all things in all, even in their own miseries and languor. And the more this is found to be excessively true in them, the more they are rich, content, and satisfied because, since they recognize and know only you, so too do they love only you in your totality, having no appetite for anything but what is yours, as being your own treasures flowing more or less abundantly in your saints. I mean your sorrows, your wounds, your cross, your chalice, your very bitter passion in themselves. By means of this, they are able to resemble you excellently according to their totality in very full conformity, disappropriation, uniformity, deformity, and in the best and highest manner that the creature can. By means of your superessential flow, excellently resemble you. And it is in that, I mean in your own life, that the creature all lost to its own life, if we might say so, constitutes all its happiness and its supreme repose, sustaining you in joy, exultation, and infinite peace in all yourself without varying from there to the right or the left.